So I've been talking about how I really genuinely love this part of the game. The ending of the game
Right.
is
Are you
so
receiving?
good.
We're still here.
But
How's
this
that
is the one
possible?
thing I really
The AI
wish
was
didn't
destroyed.
happen. This breaks
Only
up the pace so
GW.
much.
Who are you?
Because we're about to get
To
like a
begin with,
10-minute
we're
codec
not
from
what
the
you'd call
Colonel AI.
human. Over the past 200 years, a kind of consciousness formed layer by layer in the crucible of the White House.
I mean, there's
It's
some
not
good stuff in
unlike
here,
the
but
way
it really
life
does
started
just
in
break
the
up the
oceans
pace.
4
Like, I just
billion
want to
years
fight
ago.
Solidus now.
The White House
We
was
know
our
that that's coming
primordial
up. We know that we got to
soup,
fight
a base of
Solidus, but
evolution.
we have to get a gigantic
We
lore
are
dump.
formless.
Again, there's interesting stuff
We
in
are the
here,
very
but
discipline and
I would
morality
rather this
that
either was
Americans invoke so
condensed
often.
or was like
How
part of a
can anyone hope
cutscene
to
or just
eliminate
wasn't even in
us?
here.
As long as this nation exists, so will we.
Cut the crap! If you're immortal, why would you take away individual freedoms and censor the net?
Jack, don't be silly.
Don't you know that our plans have your interests, not ours, in mind?
What?
Jack, listen carefully, like a good boy.
The mapping of the human genome was completed early this century. As a result, the evolutionary log of the human race lay open to us.
We started with genetic engineering, and in the end, we succeeded in digitizing life itself.
But there are things not covered by genetic information.
What do you mean?
Human memories, ideas, culture, history.
Genes don't contain any record of human history.
Is it something that should not be passed on? Should that information be left at the mercy of nature?
We've always kept records of our lives, through words, pictures, symbols, from tablets to books.
But not all the information was inherited by later generations. A small percentage of the whole was selected and processed, then passed on. Not unlike genes, really.
That's what history is, Jack.
But in the current digitized world, trivial information is accumulating every second, preserved in all its triteness, never fading, always accessible.
Rumors about petty issues, misinterpretations, slander.
All this junk data, preserved in an unfiltered state, growing at an alarming rate.
Again, this
It
was
will
another
only
thing that
slow down
Kojima just had his
social
pulse
progress,
on.
reduce the rate
He had
of
his finger on the
evolution.
pulse here, and
You seem
he
to think
basically
that our
called
plan is
out
one of censorship.
like all this,
Are you
like
telling me
way
it's
in
not?
advance.
You're being silly. What we propose to do is not to control content, but to create context.
Create context.
The digital society furthers human flaws and selectively rewards development of convenient half-truths. Just look at the strange juxtapositions of morality around you.
Billions spent on new weapons in order to humanely murder other humans.
Rights of criminals are given more respect than the privacy of their victims.
Although there are people suffering in poverty, huge donations are made to protect endangered species. Everyone grows up being told the same thing.
Be nice to other people.
But beat out the competition.
You're special. Believe in yourself and you will succeed.
But it's obvious from the start that only a few can succeed.
You exercise your right to freedom, and this is the result.
Get
All
real.
rhetoric to avoid conflict and protect each other from hurt. The untested truths, spun by different interests, continue to churn and accumulate in the sandbox of political correctness and value systems.
Everyone withdraws into their own small gated community, afraid of a larger forum. They stay inside their little ponds.
Of course, I'm
leaking
sure that
whatever
there's some
truth
people, like
suits them
right-wing
into the
people out there who
growing
would completely
cesspool of
misinterpret
society at
this.
large.
And
The
say,
different
look, see?
cardinal truths,
Kojima
neither
predicted
class
cancel
nor
culture
mesh.
and safe
No one is
spaces.
invalidated,
It's
but
like,
nobody
no,
is
bro,
right.
no.
Not even natural selection can take place here. The world is being engulfed in truth.
And this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but a whimper.
We're trying to stop that from happening.
It's our responsibility as rulers. Just as in genetics, unnecessary information and memory must be filtered out to stimulate the evolution of the species.
And you think you're qualified to decide what's necessary and not?
Absolutely. Who else could wade through the sea of garbage you people produce, retrieve valuable truths, and even interpret their meaning for later generations?
That's what it means to create context.
I'll decide for myself what to believe and what to pass on.
But is that even your own idea?
Or something Snake told you.
That's the proof of your incompetence right there. You lack the qualifications to exercise free will.
That's not true. I have the right.
Does something like a self exist inside of you?
That which you call self serves as nothing more than a mask to cover your own being.
In this era of ready-made truth,
This is one of my favorite
self
things
is
about
just
Raiden in this
something
game, is that
used to
he really
preserve
doesn't
those
act on his
positive
own,
emotions that you
and that's part of the story,
occasionally
obviously,
Another possibility
but he is
that
also
self
literally like the
is a
player
concept you
avatar.
conveniently
He doesn't do
borrowed
anything on his own at
that
all.
would
We
endow
do
you with
it,
some sense of
which I think
strength.
is a really
That's
neat thing,
crap.
and there's a really cool
Is it?
payoff to that at
Would
the
you
end of the
prefer that
game.
someone else tell you? All right then. Explain it to him.
Jack, you're simply the best, and you got there all by yourself.
Oh, what happened? Do you feel lost? Why not try a bit of soul searching?
Don't think you'll find anything, though.
Ironic that although self is something that you yourself fashioned, every time something goes wrong, you turn around and place the blame
And
on
I don't
something
have any
else.
evidence to back
It's
this up, but
not
I would
my
assume
fault.
that that's why
It's
he's
not
designed
your
like this.
fault.
In
Raiden's
denying
fairly
it, you
androgynous,
simply
he's
resort
got
to
no
looking for
coloration
another,
in his
more
hair.
convenient truth in order to
He
make
has
yourself
long
feel
hair,
better.
but not too long,
Leaving
but not
behind
too
in an
short,
instant
so
the so-called
anybody could see
truth you
themselves
once
in
embraced.
Raiden, which I think
Should
is really
someone
cool.
like that be able to
If
decide
that's
what
the
is
case,
truth?
that's just my take
Should
on
someone
that.
like you even have the right to decide?
You've done nothing but abuse your freedom.
You don't deserve to be free.
We're not the ones smothering the world. You are.
The individual is supposed to be weak, but far from powerless. A single person has the potential to ruin the world.
And the age of digitized communication has given even more power to the individual. Too much power for an immature species.
Building a legacy involves figuring out what is wanted and what needs to be done for that goal. All this you used to struggle with. Now we think for you.
We are your guardians, after all.
You want to control human thought? Human behavior?
Of course. Anything can be quantified nowadays. That's what this exercise was designed to prove.
You fell in love with me just as you were meant to, after all. Isn't that right, Jack?
Ocelot was not told the whole truth, to say the least.
We rule an entire nation. Of what interest would a single soldier, no matter how able, be to us?
The S3 plan does not stand for solid snake simulation. What it does stand for is selection for societal sanity. The S3 is a system for controlling human will and consciousness. S3 is not you, a soldier trained in the image of Solid Snake. It is a method, a protocol that created a circumstance that made you what you are.
So you see, we're the S3, not you.
What you experienced was the final test of its effectiveness.
That's crazy.
You heard what President Johnson said.
The Arsenal's GW system is the key to their supremacy.
The objective of this exercise was to establish such a method. We used Shadow Moses as a paradigm for the exercise.
I wonder if you would have preferred a fantasy setting.
We chose that backdrop because of its extreme circumstances. It was an optimal test for S3's crisis management capacity. If the model could trigger, control, and solve this, it would be ready for any contingency. And now, we have our proof. Raiden, there are also reasons behind your selection. Solidus raised plenty of other child soldiers. Do you know why we chose you over them? It was because you were the only one who refused to acknowledge the past. All the others remember what they were and pay for it daily.
But you turn your back on everything you don't like. You do whatever you like, see only the things you like, and for yourself alone.
Yes, Rose can attest to that.
You refused to see me for what I was. I lied to you, but I wanted to be caught. You pretended to be understanding, to be a gentleman. You never made a conscious attempt to reach out to me. The only time you did was when I gave you no choice but to do so.
I was just trying not to...
What? Trying not to hurt me? Dear, the one you were trying not to hurt was yourself. Avoiding the truth under the guise of kindness is all that you did. It occurred to you to do nothing but look out for yourself. Even if you claim that it was for my sake, that feeling was nowhere to be seen. In the end, everything was for your sake. I was never part of the picture.
Exactly right. So you see, you're a perfect representative of the masses we need to protect. This is why we chose you. You accepted the fiction we've provided, obeyed our orders, and did everything you were told to. The exercise is a resounding success.
Didn't I tell you that GW was still incomplete? But not anymore, thanks to you.
Your persona, experience.
I love when the
triumphs
Colonel
and
AI,
defeats
like, his
are
face
nothing
turns
but
into the skull.
byproducts. The
Because
real
every single
objective
time after
was
you play this
ensuring that
game,
we
you
could
can't
generate
unsee
and
it.
manipulate
That his face already
It's taken
kind
a
of
lot
looks like
time
a
and
skull.
money, but it was well worth it considering the results. I think that's enough talk. It's time for the final exercise. Raiden, take Solidus down.
Think again. I'm through doing what I'm told.
Oh, really? Aren't you forgetting something?
If you die, my child dies.
The termination of vital signals from your nanomachines means the death of Olga's child. Not to mention the death of Rose. She's wired the same way.
Rose, does she actually exist?
Of course I do, Jack. You have to believe me.
Damn!
It will be a fight to the death.
Solidus at least wants you dead.
We will collect the necessary data from this last fight. Then we'll consider the exercise closed. So, Jack the Ripper, will it be Solidus, the Patriot's creation, or you, Solidus's creation? Our beloved monsters, enjoy yourselves.
Thank God that's over. That's the worst part.
Jack. My son.
Was Solidus just watching us do that the whole time?
My clone brothers and I are called monsters, replicates of evil genes. You are one of a kind, but still a monster, shaped by a dark and secret history. We need to decide which monstrosity will have the privilege of survival. By the way, Jack, I was the one who killed your parents.
This is unnecessary. This is so, like, end of the game twist. I killed your parents, now you have a reason to hate
I claimed you
me.
for my own and raised you as a soldier in the army of the devil. I am your foster father and your worst enemy.
Why?
Because I needed to know whether we were really someone else's creation. We're repeating history, Jack. Liquid and Solid hunted down Big Boss, trying to sever the tie that bound them to him. Unless you kill me and face your past, Jack, you will never escape. You'll stay in the endless loop, your own double helix. It's time we were both free. I have other reasons for wanting you dead. The clues to the Patriots inside GW have been erased, but there are other traces. Inside you.
What?
The information is being carried by the nanomachines in your cerebral cortex, and throughout the neural network they formed.
Okay, here we go. Final boss of the game. Like I said, I think the Ray fight is a little bit better as an ending of the game. This is just kind of the icing on the cake. I enjoy this fight. It's not very hard at all. It's basically like a redo of the Snake versus Liquid on top of the Metal Gear. But again, this one, it just makes you feel cool. I don't think there's anything wrong with a final boss being easy, as long as it makes you feel cool. And this does make you feel cool. You're doing all kinds of stuff with a high-frequency blade. You know, you're fairly evenly matched.
Is that the best?
But it is a cool little spectacle. I do like the end of the game, but I think the Metal Gear Ray fights probably would have been a little bit more interesting to end the game on. That's alright.
What's wrong with you?
I'm just excited to finally be done with this game, because it's been a long time coming that I've been like saying I'm gonna play this game, and then I've probably also said I'll never play this game on this channel. But I'm glad that I finally have come full circle and done every single Metal Gear Solid game on this channel. Yeah, I don't think you're ever gonna die during this fight. I think no matter how bad you are at the game, and you've seen me be not great at this game, you're never really gonna have an issue with Solidus. He's pretty easy. It is also probably the best Doc Ock boss battle we've gotten in a game, too. Because all of those are fairly scripted. I feel like it's hard to figure out how to fight Doc Ock in a video game. Even the PS4 game kind of had trouble with that. But this is a good, Doc Ock fight. I don't know. No, I was gonna say, I don't know if you could do this any other way. Like, if you unequip the sword, I don't know if you could do this melee only. I've never tried that, honestly. That would be pretty wild to see. Yeah, that's really the only issue that I have with the end of the game, is that, A, the final boss is kind of too easy, and there's that, like, 15-minute long codec sequence that kind of breaks up the pace. You know, it looks like you're about to fight Solidus, then you get a codec call for no reason. I would have done that a little bit differently. But, you know, those have always been my biggest issues with this game, is that it feels like there were a lot of corners cut, and instead of having cutscenes, you just have really long codecs, and I think it's the worst offender out of the entire series in terms of the codecs. Speak of the devil, apparently. What do you guys got to say for yourselves?
Right, you have to beat Solidus. This is your last duty.
We're not just pawns in some simulation game, you know.
Yes, you are. We're nothing but mere weapons. No different from fighter jets or tanks.
What the?
The old model destroyed 4 years ago was Rex.
The new amphibious model is Ray.
Both of these are the same as the code names used by the U.S. Armed Forces to refer to Japanese warplanes during World War II.
Your code name, Raiden, too, comes from the Japanese Navy's name for one of its interceptors.
Stop it. I'm not a weapon.
Oh, really? Do you know the code name the U.S. Armed Forces used for the Japanese fighter Raiden?
It was Jack. Both of you are just weapons to be used and thrown away.
Just weapons to be used on the battlefield. Just pawns in a game, exactly as you said.
And a weapon has no right to think for itself. Now, it's time to fulfill your purpose. Defeat Solidus.
I do like how every single part of Raiden is completely hollow and just to be controlled. Like, even his name, his code name and his real name. Which I always used to think, maybe it is still true, but I always thought Jack and Rose were named that after Titanic. But maybe it's just a coincidence, I don't know, because his name does play a part in that codec right there. But, you know, who knows? Who am I to really say? I don't know how we both whiffed an attack directly in front of each other. Unfortunately, you can't stop, drop, and roll. You just kind of have to deal with being on fire, which is kind of funny. I want to finish him off with the spinning attack, but it doesn't seem like he's ever gonna make that, like, let me get that attack off. So I'll just stab him in the ass, and that's it. That's Metal Gear Solid 2 finally done. really the ending of this game has kind of an eerie vibe to it, because it's like the first time in the game that we know for a fact like we're in the real world, but it feels like weird somehow. I don't really know how to explain it. It's got an odd vibe to it, which I really, really like. Especially all the like mindfucky stuff that just happens. It makes you really question some stuff. So there's an Easter egg in this scene I'll try and show if I remember where it is.
Who am I, really?
No one quite knows who or what they are. The memories you have and the role you were assigned are burdens you had to carry. It doesn't matter if they were real or not. That's never the point. There's no such thing in the world as absolute reality. Most of what they call real is actually fiction. What you think you see is only as real as your brain tells you it is.
Then, what am I supposed to believe in? What am I going to leave behind when I'm through?
We can tell other people about having faith. What we had faith in. What we found important enough to fight for. It's not whether you were right or wrong, but how much faith you were willing to have. That decides the future. The Patriots are a kind of ongoing fiction too, come to think of it. Listen, don't obsess over words so much. Find the meaning behind the words, then decide. You can find your own name. And your own future.
Decide for myself?
And whatever you choose will be you.
I don't know if I can.
I know you didn't have much in terms of choices this time. But everything you felt, thought about during this mission is yours, and what you decide to do with them is your choice.
You mean start over?
Yeah, a clean slate, a new name, new memories. Choose your own legacy. It's for you to decide. It's up to you.
So this is kind of your payoff for something that we did in the beginning of the game that I really, really love in this game.
By the way, what is that?
I think, is this where the Easter egg is too?
Dog tags.
Anyone you know?
No, never heard the name before. I'll pick my own name, and my own
Yeah,
life.
right there, there's Vamp.
I'll find something worth passing on.
Oh, apparently there was a trophy for it in this version. So yeah, that's something that I think Kojima
They
will
taught
do
me some good
to
things,
greater
too.
effect in Phantom Pain.
I know. We've inherited freedom from all those who fought for it. We all have the freedom to spread the word, even me.
Snake, what about Olga's child?
Don't worry, I'll find him. Count on it. As long as you keep yourself alive, he's safe.
Do you know where Liquid went?
I put a transmitter on his ray.
Did he head for the Patriots?
Yeah, but I have a feeling they gave Ocelot a bogus location to begin with. Cheer up, we have a better lead. This contains the list of all the Patriots.
But Ocelot took it.
The one we gave you wasn't the real thing.
What?
This virus is coded to destroy only a specific part of GW, namely the information about the Patriots' identity. Which means that there's a parameter coded in here that defines what that information is.
I get it. Analyze the code and you can probably find out where they operate. count me in.
No, you have things to do first. And people you need to talk to.
So yeah, the dog tag thing, I think, is a really cool way of, like, showing Raiden's growth in the game, seeing your name in there, which really only works if you put your own name in there. And I think that that's something that Kojima did much better in Phantom Pain with the reveal at the end of that game. Even though it's basically saying the same thing, but I really like both of them. But Phantom Pain does it better, I think.
Snake?
What's wrong?
Nothing. Can I ask you something? Who am I, really?
I wouldn't know. But we're going to find out together, aren't we?
Oh. Yeah.
See me for what I am, okay?
I know.
Do you remember this place?
Of course. This is where we first met. I remember now. Today is the day I met you.
That's it.
I think I found something to pass along to the future.
What?
He said all living things want their genes to live on.
Are you talking about the baby?
Yeah. The genes aren't the only thing you pass on. There are too many things that aren't written into our DNA. It's up to us to teach that to our children.
What kind of things?
About the environment, our ideas, our culture, poetry, compassion, sorrow, joy. We'll tell them everything together.
Is that a proposal?
This is for your ears only.
Life isn't just about passing on your genes. We can leave behind much more than just DNA. Through speech, music, literature, and movies, what we've seen, heard, felt, anger, joy, and sorrow. These are the things I will pass on. That's what I live for. We need to pass the torch and let our children read our messy and sad history by its light. We have all the magic of the digital age to do that with. The human race will probably come to an end sometime, and new species may rule over this planet. Earth may not be forever, but we still have the responsibility to leave what traces of life we can. Building the future and keeping the past alive are one and the same thing.
Snake, you there? It's me. I've finished going over that disk.
Did you find the Patriots list?
Of course. It contains the personal data of 12 people. There was a name on it. Snake, it was one of our biggest contributors.
What's going on around here?
I don't know.
Anyway, where are they?
Well, we were right about them being on Manhattan, but...
But what?
They're already dead. All 12 of them.
When did it happen?
Well, about 100 years ago.
What the hell?